Going to call to order the Finance Committee meeting for July the 15th, 2019. Item number 1, please.
Consider approval of Finance Committee minutes of July 1, 2019.
Reviewing the minutes, are there any corrections or addition to our minutes?
Move for approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve our minutes. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs.
Yes.
Patrick Cale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Mayor Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Item number 1 passed. Item number 2, please.
Consider approval of claims for all city departments June 22nd, 2019 through July 5th, 2019.
Do we have a report from the Purchasing Committee?
Purchasing Committee did meet this afternoon, and we did review, and I would make a motion that we approve those claims.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the claims. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs.
Yes.
Patrick Cale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Mayor Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Item number 2 passed. Item number 3, please.
Receive presentation and discuss activities of the Muskogee County Disaster Recovery Committee relating to the 2019 flood event.
Councilman Coleman.
Mr. Chairman, let me say in advance of introducing Mr. Dean and Ms. Thompson that I want to personally thank Councilor Dan Hall, who was one of the first persons to reach out to me to ask to be certain that we could coordinate temporary housing shelters with churches. That program was a huge success. It came upon a time during the disaster recovery when Bacon was unavailable, no longer able, I should say, to facilitate emergency sheltering, and Grace Episcopal graciously stepped forward with their staff and housed up to nearly 50 families. We also want to thank Pastor Rodney Maddox of the Oasis Church, who offered this facility as a clearinghouse for emergency items, as well as any number of churches that volunteered during our recovery from the flooding. Ron Dean was on the forefront of many of those efforts, and he's here tonight to make himself available to tell us more information about the Long-Term Recovery and Unmet Needs Committee. I want to also acknowledge the presence of the chairperson of that committee, Ms. D.J. Thompson, and I believe Mr. Ron Dean will give us a presentation to let us know where we go from here in terms of raising funds for needy families. Mr. Dean.
Thank you, Councilman Coleman, and thank you as well for your involvement and everyone. You know, I've had several folks that have asked me over the past month and a half since this event happened, you know, how many people have been involved, how many churches have been involved, how many businesses have been involved. It's hard to say anything except that from my viewpoint, everyone has been involved. In one way, shape, or form, the residents of Muskogee County and Muskogee City have responded to help their neighbors out in a time of need. I can't think of anyone that has not been involved in one way, shape, or form. It's been a collaborative effort of everyone. And we'll go into detail in a few moments on the Muskogee County Disaster Recovery Committee and how that was formed and put together, and DJ has a lot of information to bring on that. But I wanted to give you from an assessor, which is my day job, the county assessor, kind of an update, and I laid out for each of you a number of structures that we're looking at right now, because that's been a question of where are we at, how many structures. The County Assessor's Office has actively been viewing each of the damaged structures and trying to compile a list and to look at all of the properties that were damaged. And we have been adding to this number just about daily over the last couple of weeks. But over the last few days, we're at a point where we feel like we have viewed all properties that have had damaged structures. There may be over the next week or two, one or two that come about that we don't know about. And if anyone knows of a piece of property that we have not viewed, I so want that person to come forward or pick up the phone and call us or let us know, because we don't want anyone missed that suffered some flood damage. We want to make sure that every home is looked at. But basically, as far as living structures, we're talking about a total of 359 residences that were flooded. And as I've told my staff, that's 359 families that were personally affected. 36 businesses with a total of 87 commercial buildings. about 374 outbuildings, could be detached garages, shop buildings, gazebos, storage buildings, barns that were damaged. 5 church buildings, which represented 3 churches. One church had 3 different buildings. Another church had 2 different buildings. 8 public buildings, one being a county building, one being a Webbers Falls building, and the other 6 were school buildings at Webbers Falls School District. So a total of 833 structures in Muskogee County that were damaged. By the middle of next week, I should have a dollar figure on those structures as well as a breakdown by school district, so that the schools can know what type of an impact it will make on ad valorem for them as well. With this being said, this is why the Muskogee County Disaster Recovery Committee and efforts are so important. FEMA is stepping forward to try to help. The federal government is helping in many ways. The Small Business Association, insurance companies, and the nonprofits, the businesses, and so on else has stepped forward immediately to try to help these folks, and in the time when the disaster was ongoing. Long term, there are going to be needs for several years that are going to need to be met. And the committee was put together as a way for businesses, individuals, and nonprofits to contribute dollars as well as supplies that can be distributed in the future to meet the unmet needs of folks. And that's where we're at now. And I'd like DJ Thompson to come up and kind of bring you up to speed on where the committee is at on fundraising and efforts that are coming. I can tell you that everyone needs to mark down this Saturday from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. on their calendar, Floodstock. The Fort Gibson Chamber of Commerce has organized a fundraiser, and all of those funds raised on Saturday at Thunderbird Speedway. Time 12 bands, I guess, are going to be there. All of those funds will be going to Muskogee County Disaster Recovery Committee. So they'll be going to this fund. And then the churches of Muskogee County are rallying together to have Flood Weekend, Flood Sunday on the 11th of August, to where they will be giving their church members an opportunity to donate in any way, shape, or form to the fund as well. And businesses and individuals have been stepping forward as well. So, Ms. Thompson, would you please?
Thank you, Ron. Thank you, City Council, for having us and allowing us to give you a quick update on what's going on. As Ron said, we formed the committee, and just to give you a little bit of history, I have the unfortunate experience of working several disasters in either my professional role or volunteer role when I lived in Oklahoma City, dating back all the way to the Oklahoma City bombing. And this model that we're using here is something that actually Oklahoma City started after that tragedy and after that disaster, when we had about $1 billion that rolled into Oklahoma City as donations after that disaster, after the bombing. It quickly became apparent that some kind of process needed to be put into place, and that we weren't going to be able to spend $1 billion just on the immediate needs, and there were going to be very, very long-term needs associated with that disaster. That model has since been replicated nationwide by many, many different organizations and many different disasters, including after 9/11. And we've worked in Oklahoma, for example, Hurricane Katrina, when the evacuees came in for that. We've done tornadoes. Now we've done flooding. And so this is a model that is based on something that we know works, and that unfortunately we are going to have unmet and long-term needs that are going to affect our Muskogee economy, Muskogee County economy, Fort Gibson economy, Webbers Falls. It's going to impact our workforce, our businesses, our social services, certainly. And so we want to have something prepared for those needs. So what we did, as Ron said, we put together the MCDRC. It's kind of a mouthful, Muskogee County Disaster Recovery Committee, which I have to really think when I start talking about that. I gave you a handout that shows the purpose and the mission for that committee. Right now, we have about 40 different organizations, businesses, and agencies represented in that group, and it continues to kind of snowball. And anyone that's interested is welcome to the table. Anybody that is a stakeholder or resource or has just a passion to help these folks is welcome to that table. From those 40 or so partners, we have formed a board of directors. We have, which you have there in front of you, and then we have 7 working committees that have also been formed, and co-chairs for each committee have been designated. The committees are starting to form now and recruit members. If it's something you're interested in working on, let us know. And then, of course, we'll continue to have the large group meetings. What you'll eventually see is what, for lack of a better way, I refer to as kind of an auction process. We have a case management team that are specialized and trained in disaster case management that will work with each of those 400 and something families that Ron mentioned and do extensive case management on what their needs are. So what will happen is that team will then come back to our table and tell us, we will more or less say, Mr. Smith is in need of a wheelchair ramp. And some group at that table, whether it's a faith-based organization or whether it's this committee that has cash funding, will be able to say, we can do that, we can build it, or we can pay for it, the supplies, and this group can build it. So, and then the next case comes up, and that will happen weekly, and it could be 2 and 3 years from now when we start spending that money. We, NBN, Neighbors Building Neighborhoods, is the designated nonprofit organization that will receive the monetary donations. They are 100% going back to the impacted by the flood, and there's no admin fee or anything else. They are tax deductible, and all of those funds then will be spent by this committee. So they will be they're in a completely separate bank account. To date, we have about $70,000 already in commitments, mostly from local businesses. We received a $5,000 donation last week from Mabry Bank. We've received several individual donations, and we have about $65,000 in commitments from other businesses. And I think you're going to see that grow pretty rapidly. I actually am working with the donations committee, and we had a meeting today to start recruiting members of our committee and to develop a fundraising plan. As Ron mentioned, there is flood stock this weekend. There's a lot of different opportunities for people to give back if they want to do that. Go have fun at a concert. You can buy a T-shirt. You can give at your church, like Ron mentioned, that we're calling Flood Recovery Sunday or Saturday, if that is your faith, whatever day of the week. We don't want to limit that. So we are going to be creating lots of opportunities to keep this in the public eye. With flooding, for some reason, more so than with other disasters, the emotional response is not quite as great as when you have a tornado, at least in my experience. And so we're already back to our jobs, taking our summer vacations and doing those kinds of things. And it's this committee's mission to make sure that this stays in front of our community and in front of the people that can support it, and that those folks, those 438 or so, don't get lost and forgotten about. I'd be happy to answer any questions that I can.
DJ, tell us, I think the website. They need to know about the website.
We do have a website, and we have a PR and marketing committee. So we have a plan and a schedule for that. You will see something in the paper later this week officially announcing the committee and who's participating in that. And then from there, we've got it staged out so that we've got a Facebook page and we've got regular press releases going out. We will have a press conference. We will have a community event on July 25th. At the Martin Luther King Center. There's a website. It is live, but we're kind of doing a soft rollout right now until we get all the edits made. We don't want to, I think the thing we want to emphasize right now, we are not at the capacity where we can help the victims or the survivors yet. We're not ready to pass out money. We are collecting money, we're grouping, we're getting ready for when FEMA leaves on July 31st, when that deadline hits and people haven't applied, which there are a lot of people out there that haven't applied for FEMA yet. Please fill out the application no matter what. If you get denied, appeal. FEMA, from their mouth directly, appeal, appeal, appeal. It's not your last chance. But after July 31st, they will take no more applications for assistance. And most of you probably know all of the regulations with that. It's a minimal amount. When you're talking about losing your house and your property, even if you get the max amount from FEMA, it's not going to pay for maybe even half of rebuilding a home. So there's lots of need out there after that. But the website will be formally announced. I don't want to give it out just yet. But we do have one set up, and as I said, Facebook page and several media releases ready to go.
Have any other questions for Ms. Thompson? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
No
you for your
action taken.
participation.
You bet. Happy to help.
There's no action taken on this. This was a report, so we'll go on to item number 4.
Consider approval of state contract pricing from John Vance Fleet Services in the amount of $31,865 for the purchase of one 2020 Chevrolet Express 15-passenger van for fiscal year 2019-2020 for the Parks and Recreation Department, or take other necessary action.
Mrs. Swepson?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. In this year's budget, we budgeted to replace the existing 15-passenger van within Parks and Recreation. It's a 2001 van, so it's getting up there in age, 19, 20 years old. Does leave town quite often and sometimes even out of state, so we want to be sure that we keep them in something that's safe and reliable and dependable. The existing van will be rolled down to Mr. Tucker's department to be used in the community sentencing programs. We recommend purchase of the 2020 15-passenger van from John Vance Fleet Services. It is a state contract price. It is budgeted in this year's capital outlay budget, and it is within budget. Be happy to answer any further questions.
Move for approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve this agenda item. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs. Yes. Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Jamie Stout. Yes. Mayor Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Item number 4 passed. Item number 5, please.
Consider approval to accept the lowest and best bids from Simpson Carpentry for the repair of the following 6 structures: 1204 Tamaroa, $15,275. 501 Terrace Place, $19,200. 1316 Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, $15,100. 1408 North 12th Street, $19,950. 629 North 13th Street, $19,400. 1714 Pickens, $18,100, for a total amount of $107,025, funded through the Muskogee Rehabilitation and Revitalization Program, or take other necessary action.
Ms. Callahan?
I'm not Miss Callahan,
All
but
right.
this is actually my program, and Tish has passed it off to me since Gary's moved on up to the second floor, or
All
down,
right.
we should say. This is our rehabilitation and revitalization program that is funded through the City of Muskogee Foundation. We typically do $20,000 per house, or up to $20,000 per home, in rehabilitation to the exterior of the structure. We did accept bids, and this is what we received, and we do recommend approval.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve this agenda item. Discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, may I be recognized?
Yes, sir.
This year, I think is one of the best programs that the foundation gave us. Because when we first, foundation came up here and this was on our agenda, I said then, this is definitely a good program, and I'm glad they approved it, because we done without it for 2.5 years, Mr. Hurd?
Well, 1 year. We did not get funded last year, but we only were funded at $100,000 the previous year.
This program has helped people all over the city. And thank you, Councilman Coleman, for going up. Also, you went down there and kind of promoted this and to the foundation that it really needed to be done. And I want to thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
And thank you too, Mr. Hurd, for working on this.
Thank you,
So definitely.
and thank you too, Mr. Coleman. We do understand you guys really went to bat for us, as well as Mr. Miller and several other people that I'm not aware of their names, but thank you very much. This has been a great program. You know, as an inspector, people don't like to see us very often. They're expecting us to turn something down. And so most of the accolades that I've ever received in this job have come through this program, and I really enjoy doing it because it's one of the few times people are glad to see me show up. So,
How many
thank you.
How many contractors do we have now?
Currently, we only had one contractor bid on this. We did attempt notification to 2 other contractors, but they chose not to bid. We put it out, we published it, and put it out through the Dodge report, but we received no other bids at this time.
Turn the floor back over to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs.
Yes.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Mayor Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Item number 5 passed. Item number 6, please.
Consider approval to receive donated funds for the city's animal shelter sponsorship program for the months of October, November, and December 2018 in the amount of $6,288.81, and January, February, March, April, and May 2019 in the amount of $9,822.77, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Garber.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, we received $6,288.81 in donations, as the clerk said, for October, November, and December of 2018. An additional $9,822.77 from January through May of 2019. We do recommend approval to accept the total donations in the amount of $16,111.58 for the animal shelter sponsorship program. Be glad to answer any questions.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs. Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Mayor Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Item number 6 passed, and with that passing, that is our final item for the Finance Committee.
We'll now go ahead and call to order the Public Works Committee meeting of July the 15th. Item number 1.
Consider approval of Public Works Committee minutes of July 1, 2019.
Everybody's had time to review the minutes.
Move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs. Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Mayor Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Item number 1 passes. Item number 2.
Consider approval of the preliminary and final plat of Peyton Addition consisting of 2 lots on 1.44 acres addressed as 2607 and 2611 Gibson Street, or take other necessary action.
Ms. Callahan.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the committee. This is a request from Lloyd Palmer Payton and Emily Payton. It's for a preliminary and final plat. It's for 2 lots that are on the 1.44 acres. There are 2 existing residential structures, 2607 and 2611 Gibson, and this is to allow for the sale of one or both of those properties, so then they would have a clear title. They have submitted the plat, and it meets all of the subdivision regulations. It's easier for y'all to see than us out here, but that is the aerial view of the 2 structures and how they're divided, so they can sell one and be within the regulations. Staff, subdivision review, and planning commission have recommended approval. Be happy to answer any questions.
Move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any questions? Any other questions for Ms. Callahan? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs.
Yes.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Mayor Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Item number 2 passes. Item number 3.
Consider approval of preliminary and final plat of Bushwood Circle Addition consisting of 3 lots on 15.43 acres located on the south end of Evenpar Avenue, or take other necessary action.
Ms. Callahan again.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, committee members. This is, again, a request for a preliminary and final plat from a Travis and Bridget Bearden. It is to plat 3 lots on the 14.53 acres, is to allow for the sale of that property for residential development. They have submitted the plat that meets the subdivision regulations. It shows the 3 lots that abut the Evenpar And they will be extending the street and putting in a cul-de-sac. And there is existing water and sewer and can be accessed from that cul-de-sac area. And staff, subdivision review, and planning commission have recommended approval. Be happy to answer any questions.
Move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any other questions from the committee? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs.
Yes.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Mayor Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Item number 3 passes. Item number 4.
Consider approval of the preliminary and final plat of Azalea Park Addition consisting of 2 lots on .872 acres located on Azalea Park Drive and North 32nd Street, Highway 69, or take other necessary action.
Ms. Callahan.
Thank you. This is our third one. We'll get a preliminary and final plat. It was submitted by the JPH Land Surveying Incorporated. They are the agent for the property owners and developers. It is a preliminary and final plat. It's 2 lots on .872 acres, and this is to allow for commercial development. This is the plat that was submitted, and it does meet our subdivision regulations. They will be developing on Lot 2, which is the larger lot to the north. And then the aerial that tries to help explain where it is. It's a little confusing when you go into Military and then it turns into Azalea Drive. So it is a long 69 highway, then you turn into Military, and then you'll make that turn into the Azalea Drive. Staff, subdivision review, and planning commission recommend approval.
Move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any other questions from the committee? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs.
Yes.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Mayor Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Item number 4 passes. Item number 5. Thank you, Ms. Callahan.
Receive presentation and discuss partnering with the Muskogee Housing Authority on their Healthy Homes program and take other necessary action.
Councilor Coleman.
Let me say in advance of introducing Mr. Blake Farris that he, along with myself and Mr. Tucker, had the opportunity to visit several weeks ago. And while we know in Muskogee that housing initiatives continue to be on the forefront of everyone's mind, there are some things through programs and processes that people may be able to do to maintain the homes that they already have. And having said that, I'm going to present Mr. Blake Farris, who's going to tell us more about a program that they offer similar to that discussion through Muskogee Housing.
Thank you, Councilor Coleman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. It's always nice to come before you, especially when I'm not asking for money. And and when Mr. Tucker says I have an hour and a half to speak. So it's always great to come forward with something that's positive for us. And our Healthy Homes Initiative is a very positive thing for Muskogee Housing and for the families that call our developments home. This program was brought about by the need to have education brought to our residents on how to maintain a healthy and hygienic atmosphere in their home. Also, to assist us in what we were seeing were ever-increasing costs related to maintenance, to pest control, to unit turnover costs, all directly related to what I would consider poor housekeeping standards. And one thing that we never want to do as a housing authority is ever terminate the lease of a family based on housekeeping standards. I consider that one of those things that can always be curable. So that's how this program came about. I would like at this time to introduce 3 of the staff members of Muskogee Housing who are actually responsible for this program. Charlene George is the director of our family services. Toya Tate is the resident services coordinator for Muskogee Housing's public housing developments. And Wayne L. Jackson is the family self-sufficiency program coordinator. I have asked them to provide some additional details on the program and answer any questions. We do have a couple of visual aids, and I'm not sure about the protocol on where to place these, so you'll have to assist in that. But I'm going to bring them forward and let them talk to you a little bit about the program and answer any questions that you have.
I don't know, where would they work the best?
Yeah, probably right there in front of Gary.
Okay, Gary, can you help her a little? Get in the right spot.
Good evening. My name is Waynell Jackson. I am the Family Self-Sufficiency Coordinator for Muskogee Housing Authority. And the goal of the initiative for us is to educate and encourage the families to have a better quality of living. So we do that in having the classes once a month. They are offered to all 3 of our sites. We have Port City Acres, Green Country Village, and Honor Heights Towers. And Toya Tate and myself facilitate those classes once a month. They do have incentive to the classes with participation. They are entered into a drawing to win a prize. And of course, our prizes are cleaning products. Just to encourage that cleaning further, we have had a lot of participation at the different sites, and a lot of the families have been very excited with the gifts just because they didn't know that they could clean effectively and it not be costly. So we have given some basics as like vinegar, baking soda, just simple cleaning supplies that don't cost a lot, that most families don't, know that they can use. Also, too, within this class that we teach, we do define cleaning to them and what cleanliness is. We also stem off from cleaning into each individual room. So we go from room to room on how we suggest that they clean from top to bottom. We talk about different items of furniture and how to clean those. We talk about different appliances in the home, whether they have them or not, from dishwashers to microwaves and things of that nature, and how they should clean those as well. We also have a suggested rule in our program that they should implement in the home to encourage the children to help clean as well, because it all starts at home. And so a lot of the children are making mess because mom is not there to construct to help them clean the mess. She works a lot, or mom is tired when she comes in. So we do encourage them to also involve the children in the chores and have the children involved in the cleaning. So hopefully we hope to impact not just this generation that we're teaching, but generations to come, so we don't have these housekeeping issues that we've had in housing. And then you want to go ahead and go through some of those slides. We do have some of the slides here. This is a lengthy presentation. It takes us anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes, depending on how many people we have in attendance. So Toya Tate will kind of briefly go through there and just show you some of the things that we do talk about with them. Also, like I said, at the end of the presentation, of course, most people do come because of the incentive to win a prize, but we do have a lot of people come forward and say, I didn't know that. I didn't know that I needed to wipe off the top of things. I didn't know that I needed to start from the top and work my way down. So they are getting a lot of education from coming to these classes, and I feel that we're not, like I say, only impacting them now for this generation, but hopefully for generations to come. Also, as she was showing it with some of these clutter items, we have a lot of that in housing, and so that's something that we have talked to them a lot, especially at Honor Heights Towers. We have talked with a lot of those residents about different clutter and things like that, because people think because their home is clean that clutter is clean. And so breaking down those things and explaining to them that clutter is not clean just because you stacked it up doesn't mean that it's cleaned up. And that it happens very often. So like I say, we just want to give this program to people and let them know it's not costly to be clean. This is going to help them for a lifetime of different things with depression and anxiety. I know some people, a clean home makes you feel better. And so a lot of people, they don't know where to start. They start getting a little anxiety. They start getting depressed, and then they just don't care anymore. And so we want to eliminate that. We want people to know that cleanliness is important, and it starts at home, and it starts with implementing with your children and just putting all these things into place so that you can have not just a healthy home, cleanly-wise, but a healthy home with your way of living, your mental stability, and things of that nature as well. And so Toya Tate is also going to share a success story, from an individual that we had from Honor Heights Towers.
Good evening. We work with all types of people from all walks of life, and we wanted to implement something that everybody could watch and get an understanding from. I have a client that I work with that is developmentally delayed, and we talked several times about keeping his unit clean. I've gone up to his apartment, I've showed him different things, and it just didn't seem like it was clicking. He was able to come down to one of our classes one day, and it just clicked all of a sudden. And so I asked him, I said, well, what worked for you? He said, actually seeing the visual. And then putting what you have been saying to me with the visual actually showed me what I needed to do. We take for granted that people just know how to clean. That's not true. Everybody doesn't know how to clean, and then there's so many different, I guess you can say, cleans. Your clean may not be my clean may not be yours. But we want to get people to a positive spot so they can feel better about themselves. Also, this helps in other walks of life. I don't just look at this as having a clean house. But if you care about the home that you have and you care about the things that you purchase, you also care about keeping that home, which means you're going to make your rent on the 1st of the month. You're not going to wait until the 20th of the month. And it also means that you're going to take care of your health as well, because you care about the things that you have, and you're happy about what you have. Another thing that I will share with you is we want to know how this can be implemented in every home, every business. Well, we all like a clean home. We all like to have things that are nice. This will help landlords, not just from Muskogee Housing Authority, but other businesses, because when you have a nice, clean home, say, for instance, you have an apartment complex, people are drawn to cleanliness. They look at this place and they think, oh my God, I would love to live there, because it looks really nice. Your curb appeal is nice. Your apartments are kept well. Your curb appeal is nice, which means you're going to keep a very good waiting list. So that's going to also help you with your costs, because you're never going to have that waiting time and that turnover, because you're going to constantly have people that are interested in your property. Another thing that we're going to say is that when your units are clean, it helps with maintenance as well. It cuts down on the cost of you having to take care of pest control, because we all know that when you have a dirty home and you have a cluttered home, that gives pests the opportunity to feed, and it also gives them places to hide. So when you have clean units and you have clean houses, that cuts down on the cost that you have to spend. Also, I know several of you probably noticed that you may have housed someone for maybe 3 or 4 months, and then that person moves out, and it takes you 6 to 7 months to rehab that place because they've just made a mess out of it. But if you teach people how to keep their homes clean, that will cut down on the cost, because your rehab time won't be bad. You can get in there, you maybe paint, shampoo your carpet, and then you're done and you're ready to get that property available for the next person to come through. It just having a unit that is clean, it helps with everything. It makes you feel good about yourself, like Waynell said. And that's what we want our clients to do. We want them to feel good about the home that we are providing for them, and we want them to take pride in the home that they have. Thank you. You guys have any questions?
Mr. Ferris, I want to be certain that the public understands that the slides that you make available to your clients are also available to the general public. And I think you were sharing with us early in the previous meeting about the website that they might be able to go to get those cleaning guidelines.
That is correct. We did post it to our website. It is also on our Facebook page. I shared it with Mr. Tucker also on the chance of posting it to the public information channel. So we're happy to share not only the PowerPoint slides, but also the video that corresponds with it, with any individual, any business, landlord, whoever it may be. This is not proprietary by any means.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Coleman, I think one of the things that the three of us had talked about in seeking the sponsorship with the Housing Authority in the city is to be able to utilize those resources not only on Channel 14, but our Facebook page and all of our media too. So that's one of the things that is up for debate tonight.
Okay.
And we would have absolutely no problems with you rebranding it with the City of Muskogee's seal, or however you want to use the information. It's up to you. We're fair game for whatever information we can provide.
It looks like a great program, and thank you, ladies, for all your hard work and everything that you do for the citizens of Muskogee.
So, Mr. Tucker, if I'm not mistaken, so I won't lose my train of thought, we will be making a motion that the city be in partnership with the Muskogee Housing Authority to be certain that
Yeah, to help spread
the
this
word
program, yeah.
in terms of making certain that all of our homes through Muskogee have the opportunity to share resources through information that we may have decent properties in our city.
Is that a motion?
If it's agreeable to Mr. Tucker, yes.
Is that a motion?
Yes.
Yes.
I'll second that.
So if I could restate that, the motion will be to approve a partnership with the Muskogee Housing Authority relating to the Healthy Homes Initiative.
As you stated.
Thank you, Mr. Ferris. I appreciate you coming this evening along with your staff and making the presentation tonight.
Thank you very much.
I have a motion and a second. Any other questions from
Yes.
committee?
Mr. Chairman, I'll be recognized. I have a question. Maybe these ladies can answer it for me. Maybe y'all can. I hope you can. You know, I'm all about cleanliness myself. I like things neat and in order. My suits at home, I put them in one certain spot. My shirts, I put them in one spot. My shoes, same way. But you know what gets me is that I see people come out dressed to the T. I mean, sharp, sharp, sharp. Follow them home. It looks like some of these pictures. Can y'all tell me why is that?
Well, you know,
I'm pretty sure y'all seen it too.
I attended several of the Bridges Out of Poverty workshops, and the light bulb came on for me. I think it was Tom who said, our idea of cleanliness is not so much their idea of cleanliness. It's their norm because that's the way they're raised. And we're seeing this generation after generation. And that's why we came together and think that we need to provide education and training and anything that we can, the tools to learn how to clean and what is clean. You know, having dust all through your house and not changing out air vents, that causes asthma. And that's, you see that a lot with the young children. Babies crawling on the floor, you've got mold from leaks. They don't report a leak to our maintenance, and so it just keeps continuing. Therefore, we've got mold building up. So we're teaching our residents these things. Food contamination, why it's important to keep countertops clean, keep food sealed and put away, you know, and to prevent pests like mice and roaches and even things like the dumpsters. A lot of families you'll see digging furniture and stuff out of dumpsters. We're teaching them never to do that because a lot of those are infested with bed bugs. So this housekeeping program it has an umbrella of teaching, and that's what we're trying to do is make our homes healthier for our families to improve their quality of life. But it starts, you know, with this family. We're even doing programs with children and teaching them about cleaning. So, you know, it starts there with that family, and hopefully one day we'll see a big improvement. I mean, we're already seeing improvements with a lot of our families, so that's a plus. Hopefully by this time next year it'll be even better. So
that was just something I just, you know, I seen
but
how nice these ladies
I truly
are dressed.
think, yeah,
How
it's
nice these ladies are dressed, and you know, like I say, you know, I've seen. I'll say it like this. I
totally get what you're saying.
You know what I'm
like,
saying?
What?
You know.
Yes, we
I'm
see
just
it a
wondering.
lot.
Yeah.
But we have to teach them because to them that's their normal. And so.
Any other questions from council?
Turn it back over to you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. We've had a motion and a second. Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs.
Yes.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Mayor Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Item number 5 passes. Item number 6.
Consider the reappointment of Muriel Saunders to the Muskogee Housing Authority to serve a 3-year term beginning August 1, 2019 and ending on July 31, 2022, or take other necessary action.
Mayor Boydston.
Yes. Muriel has agreed to serve again on this Authority, and as I understand it, she does a good job.
Excellent job.
That's right. So I move that she be reappointed for a term of 3 years.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any questions from committee? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs. Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Mayor Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Item number 6 passes. Item number 7.
Consider the appointment of Wanda Perkins to the Martin Luther King Community Trust Authority to serve a 5-year term beginning August 1, 2019, and ending on July 1, 2024, or take other necessary action.
This one is my appointment. Don't know Mrs. Perkins personally, but I've served with her husband on one of the foundation boards, and I've also talked to Mr. Reed, and he thinks she would be an outstanding appointment to the Martin Luther King Trust Authority, which is essential to our community and to our students. So that is my recommendation.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any other questions from the committee? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs.
Yes.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Mayor Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Item number 7 passes. Item number 8.
Consider the appointment of Counselor Dan Hall to the Eastern Oklahoma Development District Board to serve a 3-year term beginning July 1, 2019, and expiring on June 30, 2022, or take other necessary action.
Mayor Boydston.
Yes, we are required to have a member on this board, and Councilor Dan Hall has graciously agreed to serve in that capacity. So that is my motion.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Boydston.
Yes.
Got a motion and a second. Any other questions from the committee? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs.
Yes.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Mayor Janie Boydston.
Yes.
That would conclude our Public Works Committee meeting agenda. Now it brings us to citizens wishing to speak. And I have Oscar Ray. Oscar, if you would move to the podium. If you would give us your name and address this evening, and you'll have 3 minutes to address the committee this evening. We appreciate you being here this evening.
Thank you. Oscar Ray at 735 Terrace Boulevard in Muskogee, Oklahoma. I wanted to come to say thank you to the City of Muskogee and to the Council for supporting the Bass Region Western History Conference for the past 9 years. We're entering into our 10th year, and so I wanted to make an invitation to all of you to join us on that Friday evening as we get started. On March the 10th, 1908, a guy by the name of Lewis Franklin Harvey was killed in Muskogee, and he was the very first policeman killed on the Muskogee Police Force. Prior to that, Muskogee, Oklahoma was known as the epicenter of the Wild West. More U.S. deputy marshals were killed within a 50-mile radius of Muskogee than any city in the entire nation. And one of those people that served was Bass Reeves, who also became a Muskogee policeman. And so when we remember his story, we're also remembering all of the heroes that served prior to him, during his time, and those who came afterwards that served this city. And a lot of people ask, well, why do you guys do that conference? Because this city, I don't know if most people know it, is unique in so many ways. Its history is totally unique of any city I've ever seen. The most integrated city in the entire nation prior to 1907. And a tremendous amount of law enforcement officers who served in this area. And the point of the conference has always been to shine a light on that history and to make the citizens proud of that. But also because we know that in real, it means visitors to the city. It means opportunity. It means tourism dollars. It means we get a chance to shine not just nationally but internationally. And of course, on that Friday, on the 27th, the mayor of Fort Smith is coming up to see what we're doing here. As you know, that was where all the law was. We were where all the wild was. and saw the history, the real history of the gunfights and the range wars, all of this that was happening here in these twin territories. And so during the conference, we remember those things and the things in Muskogee that most of us have forgotten, and we want to resurrect that in a way that is beneficial to the city, not just now, but into the future, to build a certain amount of pride. The scariest thing I ever hear in Muskogee is, well, that's good enough Muskogee, which is insane to me, because nothing should be good enough. You know, this is a great city, and so we can't have things just good enough. They've got to be just as good as any place else on the face of the planet. And I think this conference, we try to make it represent the citizens of the city, our history, and all the opportunity that is ahead of us. So I'm inviting you guys personally. Hope you can make it. That's next Friday, July the 26th at 6 o'clock. And, of course, we'll have something to eat as well, and you can stay as long as you want to. Okay, thank you a lot. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Ray.
Oh, any questions? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, we can't.
Oh, that's fine. I appreciate
This
it.
closed portion. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That will conclude the Public Works Committee meeting for this evening.
And with that, we'll go to the July 15, 2019 special call meeting of the Muskogee City Council. Roll call.
Mayor Janie Boydston.
Here.
Evelyn Hibbs. Here. Dan Hall.
Here.
Marlon Coleman.
Here.
Jamie Stout.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Wayne Johnson.
Here.
Patrick Kale.
Here.
Ivory Van.
Here.
Derek Reed.
Here.
We're all here. And item 1.
Consider approval of the ratification of a contract between the City of Muskogee and Holloway, Updike, and Bellin Consulting Engineers and an amount not to exceed $35,000 for inspections, cleanup, and repairs at the Muskogee wastewater and water treatment plants or take other necessary action.
Mr. Riley.
Yes, Mayor and Council. During the flood, and then as we put boots on the ground after the floodwaters receded, we used Holloway, Updike, and Bellin. They were there to help us make decisions and determine what needed to be done, and they continue to work with us hand in hand as we make repairs. We have the pollution plant has been back up and running for a few weeks, but we're still making repairs, cleaning things, and making decisions, engineering decisions as to what we need to do next to get everything zipped up and working as it should be for long term. So this is ratifying a contract with them where we've our hours, just the hours that they've used for the engineering, and we recommend approval.
Move for approval.
Second.
Any discussion or questions? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs.
Yes.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Mayor Janie Boydston.
Yes, and the motion carries. Item 2.
Consider approval of the appointment of James Gully to the Merit Board System as an alternate city representative to serve a 2-year term beginning July 1, 2019 and ending on June 30, 2021, or take other necessary action.
This is my appointment, and I think we all know James Gully and what kind of a worker he is, and that we can all be proud of him. So I move that for this appointment for 2 years of James Gully to the Merit Board.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs. Yes. Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Mayor Janie Boydston.
Yes. The motion carries. Item 3.
Consider the appointment of Evelyn Hibbs to the Roxy Theater Community Trust to serve a 5-year term beginning August 1, 2019 and ending on July 31, 2024, or take other necessary action.
Councilor Hall.
I have the privilege of asking Mrs. Hibbs to serve on this board, and she politely said yes. And then I kind of forgot, and then I got in trouble. But yes, she's going to do it. I'd like to make a motion for her to be on this board.
Second.
Okay. We didn't need an admission of guilt. But are there any questions or discussion? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs.
Yes.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Mayor Janie Boydston.
Yes, and the motion carries. And that concludes our meeting this evening, so we are adjourned.